Honorable Fatuma Mohamed Achani.
I, Susan Kihika, do hereby swear.
Having been elected as Governor of Homa Bay County.
In 2022, 7 remarkable women were elected governors, marking a significant milestone in Kenya's history.
I, Honorable Wavinya Ndeti.
This group, known as G7, is more than a political formation. It's a movement to inspire the next generation of women leaders.
Why G7? Because we are 7 elected women governors. We called ourselves the group of 7 elected women governors. Why did we see the need to come together? Mostly because, as you can see, the growth towards electing women leaders has not been as fast as Kenyans would have wanted. We've been having this conversation about inclusion and gender for many years. When it was enshrined in the Constitution, the 2/3 gender rule, we thought, now this is it.
We had, in the first devolution cycle, 2013 to 2017, G0. Not a single woman was elected. Actually, Senate 0 and governorship 0. And so it was only in the next election, 2017 to 2022, the second election, where 3 women governors were elected. The late Governor Joyce Laboso, but also Governor Charity Ngilu and Governor Waiguru. And then 3 women senators as well were elected directly.
There are risks that if we are not deliberate about showcasing women leaders being effective in governance, that we can actually regress. You know, you can take 2 steps forward and then take 3 steps back.
Asante sana, tuwapigie makofi.
So we decided to come together as the women governors so that we can, one, encourage one another, learn from each other, peer-to-peer learning, support each other, and then also provide a platform to encourage other women who aspire to run for these seats of governors.
These governors aim to increase their number from 7 to 24 by 2027, creating pathways for more women to lead.
And that is why we are saying we want to move from G7 to G24. At least 50% of the women governors to be elected as women.
G7! G7!
However, the journey to breaking the glass ceiling is far from easy.
Because it's not easy for a woman to run for a seat of governor. We are not yet there as a country. Anyone who tells you it's easy is not speaking the truth. It's very difficult. There are quite a number of barriers to entry.
Women face significant barriers manifested through cultural biases, financial constraints, and lack of political support.
Anytime a woman tries or thinks about joining politics, you must be prepared and be focused, because you will face a lot of challenges, you will face a lot of hurdles.
The Kenyan culture, ever since independence, has never been able to elect enough women in elective seats. So if you check the history of women in Kenya, you find we've never had more than 12 women sitting before the Constitution. And even when they did sit, very few came in through direct elections. It was always through nomination. And we know that the Kenyan politics are politics that have put money first before what you can do. So we know we may have very good female candidates, but they lack the resources to campaign.
Si safari ambayo imekuwa ni safari rahisi, ni safari ambayo imekuwa na misukosuko, lakini vile vile niseme ni kielelezo chema kwa mtoto wa kike katika jamii hii yetu. Na pia kupatia mtoto wa kike opportunity ya kuona kweli inawezekana. Mbali na mila ambazo ni potofu, mbali na wale ambao wanapinga uongozi wa mwanamke. Utendaji kazi wangu ndio utapatia confidence yule mwanamke mwingine kusimama, na pia yule mwanamume mwingine na mtu mwingine kupigia kura mwanamke wakati anapotafuta uongozi.
Generally, being a patriarchal society, they are all that believe that women are not good leaders. But I believe there are women leaders who've come out and they have really shown that women are very good leaders.
Despite these, Kenyan women have made their mark. Mentorship, support, and partnerships are key to their continued success.
Then we are deliberate about identifying women who have ambitions and want to run for these seats, to work with them, to encourage them, to campaign with them, and also to hold their hands in coaching and mentoring so that they know how to maneuver the terrains, and especially in campaigns.
Mentorship plays a critical role in this envisioned success.
So as we speak, we already identify women who have shown interest to run for governors across the countries. And we want to mentor them, we want to support them in terms of preparing them for these elective offices. And we are hopeful that even if we don't achieve 24, if we can get 20 female governors, it will be a very, very big thing for Kenya and for the women of this country.
According to proponents, G7 strategy includes empowering future women leaders through collaborations and partnerships both within the national and county governments and other non-governmental entities.
And so the strategy is now based on 4 pillars. One pillar is election of more women governors, but not just women governors. Remember, if you look at the G7, 2 of the governors, including Governor Gladys Wanga and Governor Kawira Mwangaza, are women reps, are former women reps. Governor Waiguru is a former cabinet secretary. Governor Cecily Mbarire is a former nominated member of parliament, but also an elected member of parliament. Governor Wavinya, also a former member of parliament, but also a former cabinet. Governor Fatuma Achani, former deputy governor. So it's not just the gubernatorial level, it's actually having more women elected at different levels. And that is where the political mentorship comes in. We need more women representation across different levels, of course at governorship, but also at the different levels.
It also relies on strong partnerships with political parties, civil society, and media to change the narrative around women in leadership.
For us to succeed, critical collaborations are required everywhere, one, at the political party level. And I am hoping that with the NADCO report, the recommendations that have been made to ensure the 2/3 gender rule are actually actualized, where political parties will be required to field candidates of a certain minimum number from either gender.
Making sure that we change the workings of parties and make parties come up with programs that are aimed at encouraging more women to run is one of the things that must be done going forward. Because you'll find that there are certain regions where the party propels you to leadership more easier than if you're to run outside of the party.
Civil society organizations, because they are our partners in our communities, especially in education, civic education, and in public participation as well. Influencing mindsets. Media, for example, the coverage that media does, how do they portray women leaders, or how do they portray leadership as being both for both sides of gender, so that you encourage mindset change, because bottom line, these people have to be elected.
From G7 to G24, that's the vision. And the G7 strategy is paving the way for the future.
And we now have the strategy. G7 strategy officially launched.
G7 to G24. That we are committed as women governors to exemplify excellence in leadership, and hopefully we will encourage many women leaders to break even more glass ceilings than the ones that we have broken ourselves.
You remember in the first term of devolution, there was no single woman. The second term of devolution, there were 3 women. And if these 3 women did not do well, we would not be governors today. Now we are 7 governors. We have decided the 7 of us have got to just try and work very hard and deliver for our people. It doesn't matter how beaten we are done or whatever, we must keep our eyes on the ball as the lady governors. And the eyes on the ball is to deliver for our people.
First of all, of the G7, 6 are up for re-election. Because one of the bad things is to backtrack. We don't want to come from G7 to G3 to G2, no. So now the G7, 6 are up for re-election. So ensuring that those 6 get their re-election and even more. And then Governor Waiguru, whose term as governorship is ending, also available for national leadership.
And we think that from there, then we can begin to talk about the presidency, because we have been able to break the glass ceiling at the level of governors.
Charity Ngilu occupies a very special place in our country. She is the first woman to dare to run for president, materially.
The realization of 2/3 gender rule remains a mirage, with unspoken social nuances playing a major role in this.
I want to commit to the women of Kenya that this time round, we will make sure that the 2/3 gender rule is attained.
We can only be better as a country with gender diversity. The reason we ask for women is not just for women for the sake of it. It's because the diversity of gender and gender inclusion will bring with it a diversity of policy and ideas, implementation plans, and ensuring that the half of our population is also represented at the table. And I think it's only fair that we do that so that we can ensure equity in development.
It's really, really important to have more women at the table, because I feel, or I believe, that there are some aspects or perspectives that women bring that may not necessarily be brought to the table if there are no women at the table.
Transformation is a powerful word. It's not change. You can change without discomfort. But when you want to do transformation, there will be resistance, there will be discomfort, there will be, people refusing, and you need courage to transform. And what is needed in our country is really transformation, where people can't recognize what they left.
In Africa, Rwanda remains the country with more women in governance. For Kenya, despite the strides, the nation continues making baby steps, and the G7 could be one of the platforms that could propel the realization of bridging of the gender gaps.
Many countries are way ahead of us on this matter, including our neighbors, Tanzania and Rwanda and Uganda. And Kenya should surely be at a place where we are leading when it comes to gender inclusion, empowerment, and the impact of that on economic development.